my lovelies, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jade and this is my crafty life.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your...
As you can see, today is not a colouring themed video at all. It's a cross stitching themed, and it's been such a long time since I have done a cross stitching video, I know, and I'm so sorry. There isn't many on my channel yet. I'm hoping to change this in the future, but I just never know what you want to see in terms of cross stitching. Whether you want to just sit there and kind of just watch me stitch, whether you want to know about everything I have in my stash, just like let me know in general what you want to see on a cross stitching YouTube. Hit the comment section down below and let me know what you want to see. But here I thought I would do a video on what I use to kit up a brand new kit. So a kit is in like a new cross stitch project, a new start, a new project. And since I literally about a week ago started a new one, this is the perfect time. Now, I shouldn't be starting new ones. I have about, this is no exaggeration, I think I have about 50 whips on the go, which a whip is a work in progress if you didn't know. And I have about 50 of them on the go already because I cannot stop starting new ones. There's just too many beautiful charts and kits out there that I just cannot help myself. Now, this new one that I've started though is really, really exciting to me because I've been doing a lot of Heaven and Earth projects, which is a company, they're called Heaven and Earth Designs, and they make, well, they have a lot of artists' artwork, and they turn them into massive projects. When I say massive, I mean like some of the charts can be like 50, 100 pages long. They are massive, and this design that I actually have that I've started, the finished design is going to be 700 by 506 stitches. Which is, let me work it out, if it was on 25 count fabric, which it isn't, it's on 18 count because I do prefer that, then it would be 28 by 20 inches. But it's going to be even bigger than that because I'm doing it on a larger count fabric. So the majority, I don't know if all, but I know the majority of Heaven and Earth Design charts call for 25 count fabric, but you can just do it on your own fabric, whatever you decide to do. I prefer 18 count because the holes are a lot bigger, the crosses are a lot bigger, it's just nicer to work with, otherwise you're working in really teeny tiny crosses. But yeah, so I'm going to talk through with you today everything that I use when I'm cross stitching, basically. When I kit up a new project, everything I get together in one big pile and use to just cross stitch in general. I have a lot of these on the go at the minute, they're all over the place. If you did want to see a video on all my current projects that are on the go at the minute, let me know down below and I will sort that out for the future. But this one that I've started, this one is called, I think it's called Candy Shop. I keep calling it Candy Bookshelf, but it's called Candy Shop. I'll put a picture on the screen now. And this is done by a lady called Amy Stewart. She does a lot of beautiful designs, and a lot of her artwork has also been used in puzzles, in blankets, just all over the place because they're beautiful. She does a lot of bookshelf style designs, and I just love this one. I'm a massive fan of sweets and candy, so this one's perfect to me. And also, if you're doing a really, really big project, what you'd probably find, like I do, is that sometimes when you start, because I start in the top left corner, you're basically for a long time just stitching one or two or three different colours, filling in a background, which can get a little bit monotonous, a little bit boring. And that's what I did find with one of my other projects I'm doing. I'm constantly just stitching a background, so it gets a little bit boring, whereas this one got stuck straight into a lot of detail which you can already see starting to form, and that's what's made me super excited and motivated to do more, because you can see the picture coming to life. So I'm really, really enjoying this one so far. We haven't even done one page yet, so there's a long way to go, but this video isn't about the project, the design itself. It's about what I've got together to start this project. So let me clear the space and I will show you everything I use. So I'm not trying to use this video as a promotion for my business. I promise you I'm not. But a lot of these things are from my own business, because if you run a business in a hobby that you love, you're going to use your own stuff. So if you did want to know where everything that is talked about in this video is from, everything will be linked down below, described and linked, so you can find it for yourself. But one of the biggest things I've found that I've just needed which I haven't actually used all the time. It's only quite recently, because I've been stitching now for probably about 15 years. And I've found that only the past few years I've started using a project bag. And I don't know why I never really used one before, because obviously they're so handy and they keep your project super safe and super clean. And also I like to have one project bag per whip. Obviously I don't have 50 project bags, but I tend to rotate like 2 or 3 at a time, so each one's in its own bag and it can like match together, and everything that I use for that one project is all inside that one bag, just to keep it organised and keep it all together safely. So here we have a project bag. It's called Call Me Mr. Fox, and this one's quite big, so I can't fit it all on the screen, but as you can see it's pretty big because I use an 11 by 17 Q-snap frame, so the bag obviously needs to fit plus a bit more. But this is big enough and wide enough to fit literally everything that I use inside of it for the project. Not just the Q-snap frame, I fit everything to do with this in here. Inside I chose to have a baby pink. I know it doesn't really go, but I wanted a bright coloured inside so I could see everything. So we've got baby pink on the inside, and it's just really spacious. It just basically, it's really soft and smooth inside, and just keeps everything super safe. So one of the big must-haves, I think, for any projects that you have on the go is to have a project bag, just so that you can keep it all safe. Because if I don't know if you like me as well, but we have 3 cats and they tend to love the cross stitching just as much as we do, so putting them in these bags just keeps it super safe. So that is a must for, in my opinion. Please note this video is all my opinion and what I like to use for a project. It's not by any means what you should use. It probably doesn't cover everything. There's a lot of things out there that you can. This is just what I use for my project, so please don't think I'm saying this is what you should use and only use. There is a lot of things out there that are amazing for your projects, but I'm just wanting to talk through and to show you everything I use when I come together for a brand new kit. So the next thing is obviously is a big must is the fabric itself. So when you are kitting up a kit, if it's a kit that you're kitting up from scratch, you're going to need all these things like the fabric and the threads. But if you've bought a kit, it should come with everything. But the thing is with the Head and Nerve designs is that it's basically a chart you're buying, so you need to kit everything up yourself. So I like to keep my projects on what's called a Q-snap frame, which is, it's basically a plastic frame and then it has these clips on it, and all you do is like pull them like that and it keeps your fabric really taut and tight. And they also are quite nice for bulking up any excess fabric behind. But this project, because I've done it on 18 count, has a lot of fabric, and as you can see there is a lot of it here just like bulking up. I kind of push it to the back so it's out of my way, so you can't really see at the front, but yeah, you can see how much fabric is left over for this project because it's such a giant one. So yeah, I like to use Q-snap frames. You can also use hoops, you can use scroll frames, whatever you feel comfortable using in your own hands and with your project. And obviously the different sizes are for different size fabrics that you use. So there's so many things out there that are just going to be perfect no matter what you're stitching. So if you are kitting up a new project, I definitely recommend getting yourself some kind of like handheld frame, or a stand off the floor scroll frame, or hoops for your hand, just whatever you like. I prefer to use these 11 by 17 frames because I'm doing a big project. It's not too big in my hands like a 17 by 17 would be, but it's big enough to be comfortable and stitch at the same time and have quite a bit of area to just like work on instead of constantly moving it across. So this is what I like to use. So obviously when you are kitting up a new project, you're going to need your fabric, and that's going to depend on what the chart calls for. Most of the time the charts will say to you this is for this size fabric. That's how they've worked it out and how they've worked the dimensions out. But like with the Head and Nerve designs, I have gone for an 18 count fabric, which I got off Amazon, I think. So again, I will link them down below. Yeah, so this is an 18 count, and obviously I had to go for a fabric that's a lot bigger than what it said on the chart, because 18 count tend to do, the stitches are bigger than the 25 count, and you can easily work that out online as well, what size you need, or you can work it out with a calculator. I'll put, again, it's just everything you kind of will need to know will be down below for you. So another thing that I need with using a Q-snap frame or a hoop or a scroll frame, you can get them for everything, is a grime guard. Now these grime guards are perfect for keeping grime and dirt and pulls off of your fabric. So obviously when you're stitching with a frame, you're holding onto it kind of like this and stitching, so you would constantly be putting your hands on the fabric, making it super grimy and dirty over time. You wouldn't notice at first, but over like say a few weeks or months, you'd look at the fabric and be like, oh my gosh. Even with this on, a lot of the fabric still changes colour, either from air pollution or just like in general from touching it. I get the cats coming and sitting on this a lot, so it ends up burying inwards because they're little fatties, and yeah, I have to constantly keep pulling it tight and their little paws are always on it. But I found that grime guards are just perfect for obviously keeping the grime and dirt off, and I also like to use it for tucking a lot of the fabric inside the excess fabric. I just tuck it in there. It also stops it like draping all over the floor, because if I hadn't rolled all this up and squeezed it inside here, it would literally be hanging down all the time, which would just get super annoying. This grime guard again matches the project bag. It is from our shop. It's called Me Mr. Fox. It's made for the 11 by 17. Again, in the description down below. But I like to have things matching, so this matches the project bag. And then I also know that that project bag is for this as well, if there's like certain stuff in the bag that I need for this. So it's all matching, all organised. Another thing that I will always use on my projects is a needle minder. So what a needle minder is, it's just like a fancy cute little thing on the front that you can just look at and just stare at all day, and on the back there's a magnet. So the magnet is actually on the back of the needle minder itself. It's stuck on there with glue, and then it magnetizes to the magnet on the back. So obviously when you take this off, they all magnetize and come apart. And what that will do is it's perfect for holding your needles. So if you are like me and leave your projects on the frame a lot of the time when you're not stitching, then your needle can just be draping, or you might just shove it through like that. Sometimes I do, just to keep it there until you use it next time. But the problem with that is you might forget and then stab yourself, or like I said, my cats come and sit on this a lot and that won't be too nice to sit on. So the magnets are perfect for keeping your needles safe for you when you're not using them, and I love them so much. This is actually nothing for me. Normally I have about 5 on one project, but here I just have 2 matching ones. They're made of polymer clay and they're just super cute. Again, they are from my shop, but you can get needle minders like all over the place and you can make them yourself. These are definitely really handy for you if you like to use things with a lot of space on. Some people actually use them to pop their scissors on as well. We do use super strong magnets, which should most of the time be able to stick your scissors onto them if they're not super heavy scissors. And some people also like just pop all sorts on there, like needle threaders. I don't know, whatever that you use is metal, they might come in handy. I know some people as well, they also, like if you're using a scroll frame, there's a lot of space, right? So you could pop your cross stitch chart on your fabric and then pop this on top, and then it will just keep your chart there for you. So they're super handy for all different reasons. So you're going to need your threads depending on what you're stitching as well. If it's a kit, it should come with them. If it's a chart that you get off Heaven and Earth Designs or wherever that you've got a kit up yourself, you'll need to get them. So you can find them all over the internet. I'll put some links down below for where you can get some. We don't sell DMC threads, we sell a few other kinds, but not DMC just yet. You can use, there's all different types of threads, not just DMC, there's like Anchor, there's threads called CXC, there's a lot of different brands of threads out there. So it's basically just doing like a hit and miss, trial and error, finding which ones you like to work with the most. I work with DMC the majority of the time. When you're doing a big project, you'll need a lot of them, so it can get quite expensive. So building up a good collection of your own threads can be quite useful when you're kitting up a new project. I have a lot that I've built up over time. So mostly when I do kit up new projects like this, I will already have nearly all the colours that it calls for. But I will go into more about threads when we get to some other things. This is what I've done so far, just talking about it before we go. And if you saw from the picture I showed you of what the finished piece is going to look like, this is basically a purple curtain. And then we've got some gold thrills there. And then I think this is going to be like a red and yellowy candy tin. So I'm super excited to get to it. And I've been trying to do parking method which this isn't a video to explain about all that kind of stuff because I could talk forever, but parking method is basically leaving your threads to come back to later kind of thing. So like I'll be stitching this bit, done all that colour in this bit, so I'm going to park my thread there for when I do this bit. It's kind of that kind of concept. But let's move on to some other things that we use. So of course the next big thing when you're stitching is obviously the chart itself, otherwise you can't stitch anything. And I will show you two different methods of stitching because I have two different ways now. I didn't used to, but I do now. And one of them is the hard copy of the chart, which I'm not allowed to show you. It's underneath here. And so you would basically go through and obviously highlight what you've done or however you like to mark it off, but you would have your chart. But what I found super useful is I've been lately putting my charts on a clipboard so that you can have something to just lean on that's like solid to highlight everything, and it also keeps it all quite nicely lined up and safe and just together. So that might be a super handy like little suggestion if you didn't think of doing that before, because I know I didn't. I just got these quite cheap clipboards off of Amazon, which I will link again, and yeah, I just popped the chart on the clipboard. This isn't the whole chart, by the way, this is a massive chart and this isn't even all of it. And so it just makes it super easy to highlight and also hold on to, so that bits of papers aren't going everywhere, keeps it all together, and it also makes it so it slots quite nicely inside the project bag because it's all quite together. So I always use that now when I'm doing a new project for cross stitching, paper on the clipboard. But lately I have come across an app called Pattern Keeper, which I'm sure a lot of you probably already know, but I didn't. And it's not available on Apple, at least I don't think it is now. It wasn't when I got it. I had to buy a Android tablet specifically for it, which sounds outrageous, but I managed to find one pretty cheap, and just to use the app, because I'm actually super glad that I did now, and I won't ever go back. But if you do have a tablet that's a Android tablet, then I do really suggest Pattern Keeper app, and it keeps charts that are in PDF format. So I found that Heaven and Earth design charts work really well on here, but some of my other ones don't. It just depends if it's a PDF chart or not. It's going to be like trial and error as to which charts will work on here for you, but I haven't found any problems with any Heaven and Earth designs. I haven't tried that many other ones. But yeah, it needs to be kind of like PDF, but this is the one we're working on. I'm also working on this one, but it shows you the front cover of the chart, and you can, these are all the projects I have saved on here. They're not all ones I've started yet, but they're just ones I've kept on here for the future. I don't think I'm allowed to click in it and show you the chart, because you're not allowed to see the chart itself, I don't think, anyway. But you just click it and then you can go, it takes you into it, and then it's super easy. What I also use is a little dauber thing. This is another thing that's super handy, and I just use it to, like, you can highlight all the stitches you've done, and then it keeps them marked for you. But what is also good about it is if you press on a certain symbol, which is a certain colour, it will highlight all the stitches under that symbol, so you can see exactly where you need to stitch next, and I love that about it. So I do super recommend this app, and that is now something I use every time I stitch, so that is a definite necessity for stitching. And the dauber just really helps, save you touching the screen all the time, but it's also pretty cool, just a little dauber thing. That's another thing that we definitely need for stitching with. Okay, next up is the box itself. So obviously if we're stitching, we need the chart, we need the fabric, and we need the threads. So I like to keep all my threads together in their own box. So all my projects have their own box, and what I do like to do is from the printed chart, I'll cut out the actual picture of the project I'm stitching, and I sellotape it on the inside of my box lid. Now I did a video years ago on my old channel, you might know it, I don't know, but it was, what did I call it by then? Everyday Stitcher or something. And it's a really old channel now, but I actually had quite a lot of people. I had like 500 of you over there, and I uploaded a few videos in the past about my stitching and all that kind of stuff, and I did talk through me storing stuff like this back then, and a lot of people was like, wow, I didn't think of that. But so yeah, I've been using it for this long, a lot of years. And so I like to have like the few little details on here. So this kit has 89 colours to it, and I can always kind of just refer back to the picture. I know you can't see it super well, it's a bit fuzzy through the lid, but if you are stitching, you can still kind of glance down at this and know what's coming up next, or know what it is you're stitching. So I really like that. Plus, when I come to do a project that's been away for a while, I'll know that, like, right, I just need to grab this box that goes with that project, that box goes with that, instead of like opening the box and being like, oh god, what do all these threads go to, which project, because it can be very similar between each project what threads they use. So I found that super handy. These boxes are also super handy. I will link them in the description down below. You can get them on anywhere, Amazon, eBay, wherever. So inside here then, I like to stick sellotape on the inside of the lid all of the threads that this kit uses. So it's got the number of the DMC thread, how many skeins it uses, the symbol that goes with it. And then we also have, so on the left hand side we have the colours of the thread and the symbols that match to them. All the little black lines are just where I've ticked off to say that I have that thread in my kit. So obviously if there's no line there, I need to find those threads out. I also this time decided to stick the name of the chart on the inside and who is the artist, just so that I'm always reminded in case I forget, because some of these projects can last you a few years. And the inside is your typical standard floss box. I'm sure some of you have already seen these if you do stitching. If not, it's basically just a plastic box with loads of sections in it, and then a long section here for whatever you like. So it just in here I have the usual bobbins that it normally comes with for free, and then in number order I have all the threads that this particular project uses. These ones here I just need to bobbinate. What I normally do is, if they're not already bobbinated from my old stashes, I'll just bobbinate them whenever it comes to using that colour. But so that's what they're there for. Or sometimes if I've got duplicates of one colour that it calls for, they'll just be there, so that when I finish up all the thread on the one bobbin, I'll just replace it. And then sometimes I'll just keep like little need reminders in here, needle threaders, what else do I keep in here? That's basically it really. Another thing that I do use, that I do normally keep in here, is something called Thread Heaven. Now this company is no longer in operation, I don't think, but it's basically just like thread conditioner. So you can use like, is it beeswax? You can get all sorts of different ones online. You can normally just find them if you search it into Google or Amazon or whatever. So I'll pop some links, I'll do some searching for you. It's just like a conditioner for your thread. So what you would normally do, you can pull it out. It looks a bit strange and like goopy. It can be quite hard to pull out sometimes. But I just normally like, I'll find a clean side. So I would normally pull it out, twist and turn it a little bit, squish it back in. And then if you pull it to the surface of the box a tad, and so once you've got your thread off ready to stitch with, I would normally just run it through there. So I would put the thread, so say I would put the thread on top of the thing and then just like pull it through so that it's all got this all over it. And what it does, it helps to keep the threads from fraying and wisping, and it also helps to stop them from tangling, knotting up. Just keeps them in a nice condition. Sometimes I forget I even have that and don't use it. But when I do remember, I tend to normally just keep it in here and use it on my threads just to help protect them a little bit more and keep them nice and non-frayed. A good thread conditioner is a good thing to have when you're starting a project for cross stitching. In terms of this on the back, obviously you don't really need it for all projects. It just depends what you're stitching. The Heaven and Earth, I keep talking about Heaven and Earth designs, but it's because they're the main ones that I do. I have another one which is a Bothy Threads one, which comes with everything already, and that's basically all the ones I'm stitching. I literally just do loads of Heaven and Earth designs, so I can only talk to you about how I store and kit up and basically just stitch on one of those projects. So not all cross stitch kits will have like rows and rows of different colours and numbers and stuff to call for, but you don't need to stick anything on the inside. You could just stick the picture, you don't need to stick anything. Just tailor it to what you need and what you like and how you want to keep everything organised and together. And just so you know, just make sure you do know which boxes go with which project, because a lot of them could use the same types of colours, so it can get quite confusing. So yeah, this is how I like to keep all the threads for the kit in a nice tiny box. There's just a few more things to talk through that I use all the time. So another thing is a little pencil case, basically. So again, these are the ones that we sell on our website, but you can use any kind of like pencil case. There's cat hairs on it. Just any type of pencil case, just to keep everything inside. So if you're like me and when you use your charts, I have a lot of pens, highlighters, I've got the scissors, we've got thread, we've got needle threaders, we've got just all sorts of other little bits and bobs. And when I chuck them all into the big project bag, it can sometimes get a bit messy. I get nervous that the scissors are going to get caught on the cross stitch fabric. I get nervous that the pens are going to leak all over everything. Sometimes I struggle to find stuff in the bottom of the bag, so I just find that having a little pencil case or a little pouch or something like this is super handy to have inside your project bag, along with everything else, just to keep everything inside. Now inside here is stuff, but it's not really stuff I need to talk to you about. It's just like sticky notes and just random bits of stationery, but the main cross stitch stuff I use I've already got out ready to talk to you about. But any kind of like little pencil case that will fit inside your project bag is quite handy to have. You don't have to have it, it's just a preference of mine, just so I can keep all the little bits and bobs all together in one place so I don't lose them, so I don't end up like they don't leak everywhere. Like if they did leak, at least they'd have a few layers to get through before they got to the main like project, if you know what I mean. So I just know that everything's get safe in this little pouch, so that's another handy little thing to have on you when you're stitching. Another thing that's quite necessary is a pair of scissors. So these are my cute scissors, a little unicorn, and it's like a bronze, like a gunmetal bronze colour, and then I have a scissor fob attached. So again, these are on our website, but you can also find them anywhere. You can make your own or do whatever you like. I will put the links down below to these specific ones, but I have a little obsession with scissors, and you will see if you did ever look on my website, we have a ton of different styles of scissors because I just love them so much, and there's so many cool ones out there that I didn't know existed. So I just find them super fun, and I just like to I don't know, find all different kinds of scissors. But these are the unicorn ones. These are the ones I've been using most recently on my projects, and I really love them. And they're just, obviously you need them, you need a pair of scissors for stitching, because you're going to need to cut the excess thread off, you're going to need to like cut how much thread you need off the bobbin, you need something to cut with. So these are what I use. They are a necessity for stitching, and I normally keep them inside the pencil case. They don't really fit inside the box, so they go in there. And a scissor fob is basically just a charm thing that you attach to your scissors that hangs off them, and I like it just for the cuteness factor, but they're also pretty handy so that, I don't know if you're like me as well, but I tend to lose stuff a lot. So if I place my scissors down somewhere when I'm stitching, I'm like, where have the scissors gone now? Where did I put the scissors? And these kind of just make them stand out a bit better. And I don't know, people just tend to use them, one for the pretty factor, two for helps when you keep losing this stuff all the time. I don't really see what a use is for them that's like a necessary use, if you know what I mean. They're more just like for the pretty factor and for keeping them in your eyesight kind of thing. So there's a lot of different scissor fobs that you can get everywhere. This one is from our website. I love it. I designed it, and there's like 5 or 6 different colours, but I just love the holographic part of the beads. I don't know if you're like me, but like when you do hobby, I keep saying that all the time, I'm so sorry, but when you're doing like hobbies and things, I like to pretty them up more than they already are, and I just like really cute gimmicky little pretty things. So just adding things where I can is what I do, and I could add something to my scissors to make them extra cute, so I did. And I have a charm on my little pencil case because it makes it extra pretty. I have needle minders because it makes it extra pretty. Like, I don't just use them for the like the handy side of needing them, like I also just like it because it makes it cute, you know. Another thing, I think this may be one of the last things, it's not even a big thing, but we've gone from like big to small in terms of items that I think are quite useful to have. Okay, we have 2 things. So the second one is a pen or a highlighter. So you're going to need one all the time, if you're using a hard copy of a chart, so a printed version of a chart, you're going to need to find some way of marking off what you've stitched so far, otherwise it will get super confusing, super difficult, and you won't know what you've stitched and what you haven't, or you can work it out but then it'll take you ages to keep working out every time you want to stitch. So another easy way of doing it, plus if you don't want to completely ruin the chart so you can't see what symbols are where so you can use it again, is a yellow highlighter or a brightly coloured highlighter that's see-through, and that way you can obviously see through it and still see the chart. But what I would tend to do is mark in yellow where I've parked my thread and mark in another colour where I've completed the crosses. That way, once I've gone over where I've parked it, any other colour will go over yellow pretty easily, if you know what I mean. So it won't show up too badly, but using highlight is a pretty useful thing to do. I don't feel like I need to really put links for highlighters, but I guess I will. You can get them cheap anywhere, eBay, Amazon, wherever. But they're just super handy to have. I know some people don't like to use highlighters, some people use pencils, pens, some people might not mark it off at all. I mean, if you're using the app on a tablet or something, you're not going to need a pen anyway, but if you do like to use the hard copy of the charts, then you are going to need some kind of thing to mark off what you've stitched so far. That way you can keep track of it and see your progress. And this next thing that I'm going to show you is something that a lot of people do like to use, but this isn't available, so I will link you some that you can get hold of. But this is something that I've actually been made for me by my partner because it's amazing, and I was talking to him about a stitch laying tool. So that's basically like when you were doing your crosses or on a full cross stitch, when you lay them down onto the fabric, what this would do is you would slip this underneath. And then, so like say this is the fabric, as you're pulling the thread through, you would lay this underneath and then pull it out as you lay it, and it will make it so that it lays nicely on the fabric, and that way it gives you the most coverage as well. Because if you try and lay it so that, if you're using 2 strands, if you lay it so that both strands are next to each other, obviously that's going to look the neatest and cover the most fabric. But sometimes you do get it where they're on top of each other, so it makes it stand up more, a bit bulky. It also just isn't the neatest kind of stitch. So if you use a laying tool to slowly like lay your threads down on the fabric, that way you can ensure like each stitch is laid nicely and covering more. I don't know, I hope I'm explaining this okay, I'm so sorry. So anyway, that's basically what I use this for. I actually use this for a lot of things. I use it to, like, I don't know, just do all little things like pull threads through and do all sorts because it's quite handy. But this is basically a laying tool. But you can get them online all over the place. We don't sell them. We were thinking about selling these, but they would be really expensive because he uses proper metal, like the expensive kind of like bronzy metals, and obviously this is handmade as well, so it's taken time, and this is a really good thick like proper needle, so they would be quite on the expensive side. And obviously when you're looking for a laying tool, you might not want to pay that much, so we haven't listed them for sale. He's just made me one because I'm super special. I'm sorry. I gave him the idea. I said, like, do you think you can make anything like this, because I really need it, I really want one. If not, I'll order one from someone. And he was like, yeah, I should be able to do that. So yeah, that's how that became one thing. But if you are interested in anything like this or one of these, drop me a comment or message me and I will see what I can do. We can maybe look into making one for you, but just know that it's not going to be super cheap because it is completely handmade from scratch, and obviously it's using super solid metal. But I think we've just about covered everything. I've talked for England and gone through just about everything that I do use for my cross stitching, I think. As you can see here, like I have some smaller little boxes that I use as well. These are just to store extra threads in that I have. These are more threads I just have in my stash for backup. So these aren't used for any project, they're just spares. So I keep everything like that in boxes wherever possible. So if there is any other kind of video you do want to see me do, please drop a comment down below and let me know, and I'll see what I can do. If you want me to do any videos on just stitching in general, if you want me to just sit here and cross stitch for you to watch, let me know. If there's anything you want to see or want me to talk about to do with any kind of cross stitching, colouring, anything like that, let me know. I am here for you and I don't mind. It's crafts, so I'll talk about it for forever. But just let me know. I'm sorry if this video was a bit weird and super fast talking. I really am not trying to shove products that we make in your face. It's just that everything that I do use for my project, nearly everything, is stuff that I already have, so I'm not going to buy it again, do you know what I mean? So it's all handmade, the majority of it. And so I just like I only sell stuff that I would buy myself and that I'm passionate about, and I'm passionate about it, I want to use it, do you know what I mean? So I am sorry if it did seem a bit like I'm pushing stuff at you, but I'm really not. I've wanted to do this kind of video for a long time, and I just felt like this brand new project for a big one, Heaven and Earth design, I'm not going to be starting one for a while, so this is the perfect time to do the video. Otherwise it will be waiting another few months before I start another one, probably. If you want me to do any videos on all of my current cross stitch whips in progress, let me know. Feel free to join the Facebook group and come and talk and show us your whips and everything like that. I would love to see them. Come and give me a follow on Instagram and I'll check out your profile too. I would love to see what you do in the crafty world. But that's going to be it from me. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please hit the like button down below. If you do want to see more videos from me or like this in the future, hit the subscribe button. It means the absolute world to me. I would love to have you on board this crafty crew. If you hit the bell icon next to subscribe, it also will send you a notification when my next videos go live on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you're still here with me now, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!